we will definitely take a look at that. But all right, got the the earnings calendar for this week. There's definitely some interesting names out there. I know Helms is a retail favorite right now, so that one's going to be heavily watched. You got Home Depot and AMC, which I'm not really expecting much of AMC there. Instacart, Lemonade. And then, of course, the big one on Wednesday, all eyes and ears are going to be on Nvidia. I've seen a lot of reports that analysts expect a big beat on Nvidia and lead the way for this fourth industrial revolution, quote unquote. So yeah, big numbers expected from Nvidia as well as their forward guidance. So it's going to be an important thing for the market. And is the Nvidia earnings going to rally the troops and the rest of the market? Stay tuned. That is on Wednesday. And then we finish the week out with not much. So there's the earnings release. Nvidia is expected to have an 8% move, or the market maker move is a little over 11 points. So definitely going to be a big one. Moving on to the economic calendar, we can see that we start out with nothing tomorrow. Nice and chill day tomorrow. No news, no nothing. Then Tuesday, we have our consumer confidence. That's going to be our first major reading. And yeah, this is important because the market is really concerned about how the overall consumer is doing and how everyone is holding up. So consumer confidence is a big deal. Then we go into Thursday where we have our GDP reading. We have several Fed members sprinkled here and there throughout the week, of course. And then on Friday, we close the week with the highly anticipated core PCE index, which is expected to come in at 0.3%, a slight increase over the prior reading. So big stuff to pay attention to there for the economic calendar. Most notably consumer confidence, GDP, and the PCE index. Quiet day tomorrow. Like I said, just something to pay attention to. All right. Starting out looking at the SPY weekly. Yeah, is this just was last week just a fluke? Is it just a pullback or what? What's going on here? A lot of people, kind of freaked out, especially how Friday turned out to be. Mega cap names definitely led the markets lower, and the Magnificent Seven definitely kind of a laggard pretty much this year in general, even though there has been a little bit of leadership from Meta. So we're keeping an eye on that. I posted all the Mag 7 charts in my room there if you want to take a look at those. But we've been having these bouts of uncertainty, and we've had these bouts of market volatility so far this year. But overall, the overall market is still up about 4%, whereas the MSCI World Index is up 5%. So we've had some pretty solid gains across the market and across world markets. So there is, definitely some good news here. But looking here at the technical aspect here on the weekly chart, we can see that the SPY has had a huge run up so far. We're still in a max bull territory on the weekly. Score 50 out of 50. Momentum is strong. We can see that every time we come down to the weekly 21 EMA, this has been a key area of interest for dip buyers to buy. And the question remains, if we continue to pull back, and let's say we get a new retest of about that 589, 590 zone, are bulls going to buy it back up and we just push back into new all-time highs? We can see here on the green dash lines that this is our daily. We can zoom in here. We can see that this is our target from the ABC pattern here. Here's your swing low, swing high, swing low. This was our first target here. We knocked that one out pretty well and we just haven't come up to the full measured move, which would take us all the way up to 626. The key thing here that I am looking at on the SPY is, even though we've had this big run up, and I mentioned this last week and I've mentioned it a few times before, is that we continue to make higher highs. However, if we look at our momentum indicators, which this is a weekly, but I'll switch it over to a daily as well, despite our move higher, the momentum is giving us a nice little divergence. So there's not as much oomph in this push higher. We can switch this over to a daily chart as well, and we can clearly see that is the case here also, where the oscillator is more neutral than anything, and we haven't made higher highs on the momentum oscillator. You can confirm this with RSI. You can also check MACD. They pretty much all tell you the same thing here. So if we look here on the daily SPY, it seems like we're a little allergic to the 610, 612 zone. Big candle to the downside on heavy volume, above average volume, where we had 171% of the 30-day average. Came back down to the daily 50 simple moving average, and that's where we sit as of this moment. So the key thing here for me on the SPY is, can the bulls continue to hold the dynamic flat 50-day simple moving average? If we happen to lose this, then yeah, that does open up the door for us to push back down towards 590, where bulls have held ground a few times before. If we happen to get a nice little close back above the 21 EMA at 604.50, that would definitely be a bullish case scenario. But as you can see, we're just kind of in la-la land here on the daily chart. We are neutral with a score of 14. We are in a mid-level compression. Momentum is rather weak. It's not trending. It's just not doing much of anything. We do have weak downward thrust. So we need to focus more so on the smaller time frames. The short term is definitely focused more on the cautious or bearish side, even though the daily chart is more so in a wait and see mode. Like I said, we got that neutral mid-level squeeze. So if you're trading intraday, the bear signals on, let's say, the hourly or the 30-minute chart can help guide you. And if you're more of a swing trader, this daily squeeze, it's not giving us a clear direction yet. We're still squeezing. The volatility is still squeezing, and that can break either way. So we want to pay attention to those hourly time frames, or 30-minute, depending on what you like most. If we look at the hourly, we can see that we are in a mid-bear mode with a minus 32 score. If we zoom into let's go to a 30-minute, we can confirm that even more. Mid-bear, pretty much same readings. But like I said, if it's more of a dip opportunity, don't try to be a hero where this is a dip buy. We could continue to dip, like I said, to this like 590 zone, maybe even 600. Maybe even to a 592. Wait for things to turn around, especially on the 30-minute chart, and go from there. There is a little bit of support, it looks like, here at about this 598.50 level. I would still like to wait and see what signals are going to look like if we start to make a higher high, or if we have some sort of change of character. Right now, the trend is definitely bearish on these smaller time frames, so I definitely err on the side of caution. If we go to the Qs, we can see that the Qs are also had a nasty bearish candle. Can't seem to hold above 540. Look like we're going to push to the 544 mark. You can see how we had this ABC pattern here, and this was our overall target. We didn't quite get up to it. Instead, we created a little bit of a double top issue here, and we rejected pretty hard around that 539 level. Same thing here too. Market's trying to make higher highs. However, momentum indicators are giving us a nice negative divergence, so that is something to pay attention to. Large volume on Friday as well, 159% of the 30-day average. We are also in a low-level compression squeeze. and we do have a weak downward thrust signal. It's not the end of the world, but like I said, it kind of aligns with everything here. Neutral bull. We just need to pay attention to those smaller time frames. Is this going to continue to dip? This has not retested the daily 50 like the SPY has. There is strong support down here at the 511.5 mark, so that is something that I want to keep an eye on if we do get another sell off or sell throughout the week kind of situation, especially after Nvidia earnings. If Nvidia does blow it out of the water and we ramp back up, sure, that 544.65 target can easily be met, but we need to see some of that evidence in these smaller time frames, especially this the 30-minute, the 15, whatever you want to use to help guide you along the way. Those short-term time frames will eventually spill over to the long-term time frames, but as of right now, bears are slightly in control for the moment. But all right, let's go to the Dow. The Dow's had a pretty interesting move as well, where financials was leading the way here. We also had an ABC pattern laid out. Here's your swing low, swing high, swing low. We could not break above the prior high at 451.55 and didn't come close to hitting the overall target of the ABC pattern. Instead, we have broken a little bit of a Darvas box here at that 440 level with a gap. And what we do know about gaps is, they tend to form when a trend is changing. And is that the case here for the Dow, where we had this high here, a little bit of a double top? Maybe you have some buyer's remorse up here where you have buyers finally stepping in and now you just get absolutely destroyed. So every time that we try to come back up, are we going to see even more selling because buyers now want to get out? It's kind of what we see across the board as far as the Mag 7 leadership there. And that will kind of lead us into the VIX here. The VIX, yeah, the VIX has definitely been an interesting reading. Every time we come down to about the 15 mark, we get these big spikes up to about 17, 18. Are we going to just see, a fade going into the Nvidia earnings and then, spike back up after Nvidia earnings? That kind of makes sense to me. But every time we have these spikes up to 20, we seem to kind of fade back down. So we'll see what happens this week. We're still in a mid-level compression on that VIX, on that daily VIX. Momentum indicator is kind of crazy to read on this thing, so I'm not going to read too much into it. Just know that every time we come back down to 15, we get these crazy spikes, and we tend to sell off. If we look at to some of those internal readings that we've been looking at, such as how many stocks are above their 200-day moving average, we can see that we did push back down to about the 58% mark. I would like to see a move back above 63%. That would put us more into a bullish scenario. This just leads me to conclude that, yeah, we're in that neutral bullish territory, especially with the indices, with SPY getting that pullback, but not breaking overall market trend, especially when it comes to the weekly time frame here. I would like to see what would happen if we do come back in and retest this weekly 21 EMA at 590. But we do need to break 598.50, and that could bring us back down to 590, 589. So that's kind of where I'm at with the overall market. Now, I did post in my chart, in my channel, some of the Mag 7. Google had a pretty rough day on Friday where it broke this 182 support. And, this was a pretty big, situation where we didn't develop any kind of price action between this on the gap up. So bears do have a good opportunity to bring this back down to about that daily 200 where the 175, 176 level is. I did want to get into this, but it just didn't get, I was waiting for a bounce, really. I was waiting to see, okay, maybe now that we've broken through, we'll get a bounce and then I can get in. So that's kind of what I'm going to have to wait for. If we have a good bullish day tomorrow and it comes back up to 182, I would love to get into this and play that to the downside, or do a day trade if the SPY or if the overall market continues to have a spillover day going into tomorrow. You know, we had OPEX on Friday as well. Tons of call options expired. Yeah, and the market maker, we know that the market is an equal opportunity dream killer. Lots of call options expired out of the money, so that's practically what happened there. Microsoft is at a crucial level. It has to hold 407. If this thing loses 407, yeah, that's not going to be too good there. Apple, of course, not as much so in a critical level that Microsoft and Google are in, but definitely an interesting spot because this is where, you know, we've seen resistance act out, and she couldn't get above it on Friday and came back down despite having relative strength all day Friday. I wouldn't want to get into Google now. No, not now. If anything, it's a short for me. So right now, it's broken now. I don't want to get in when it's broken down and it's it was down like over 2% on Friday. I'd rather get in a bounce where the premiums are going to be a little bit cheaper in my favor and then go down. But if we have a big sell-off day tomorrow, then I will day trade it as like a momentum play. But if I want to swing it, I'd like to get in a little bit cheaper if I want to be stingy. But yeah, that's where I'm at with Google. Yeah, 175 makes perfect sense. That would be 165 on Google. That would put you at gap fill, and it would get you down to the daily 200 as well. So 175 makes a lot of sense to me. Let's see. Let's go to Nvidia because they do have earnings, and then we'll kind of skip over to some non Mag 7 names since I already posted these. Nvidia, same thing here, kind of with Apple, not so much in a critical spot. We can see it came, this 129, 130 area is pretty important over the past, few months. Resistance, support, resistance. You broke through, filled the deep seat gap. Now the deep seat gap is acting as resistance. Is it going to come back down back to 129, 130? If we have another sell-off day, I will expect that 129, 130 holds as support going into earnings. If Nvidia does have blowout earnings, let's see, the expected move right now is a little over 11 points. So that would put you right up here, right above the 142 mark. That could give us a nice little gap where now you have seller's remorse. And when you have seller's remorse, people start to buy and it just builds up pressure. And then we go on and attack new all-time highs. If that is the case, that can definitely rally the overall market, and like all the bullish analysts out there claim will happen. Let's see. Okay, let's look at some non-tech names. I see we got Cart, so let's go check out Cart. Looks like a juicy earnings sleeper. Let's see. They have earnings on the 25th after market. Yeah, you've had this nice little move to the upside. You broke above this key 50 level. That was a nice psychological part as well. You do have a daily squeeze that is fired to the upside. The oscillator is definitely bullish, and you have strong upward thrust. So you have all the key ingredients. Nice little pre-earnings move higher. Yeah, looks good. I don't have any complaints. I would like to see if it comes back down to retest 50. That would should act as support, and then you can push back up to the upside. So that looks all good to me. I have no idea what card is, or maybe I do. Cart. That's not Instacart. Yeah, it's Instacart. Duh. I'm dumb. Yeah, I know what Instacart is. Duh. Yeah, so 50 is a psychological level, and you got pretty good support down here at about the 41 mark, which is where the daily 200 is. So you got a 10 wide move here. Looks like the expected move on cart is 5 points. So that would actually take you close to 60, which would make sense because this is your 10 wide, right? We're between 40 and 50. You had a 10-point breakout here. So your overall target would be 60. Math, 10 and 10, you stack it on top. There you go, 59.60 would be your overall target. And if you have really good earnings, really strong earnings, yeah, you should hit that no problem. So yeah, nice little breakout. Let me check out the weekly real quick. You are above the IPO, so yeah, that's great. Yeah, no problem. Dip to the weekly 21 looks pretty viable too. Nice base here. Nice base here. Yeah, that looks great. Good chart. Good chart. All right. I know financials. Let's see. Oh, we got some more. Lulu. Yeah, Lulu. I was really rooting for this one. Rooting for this one to break out above 418. You got gap resistance up here, right? That's where that nice little dotted line. We're going to change this to a dash line. Boom. There you go. 418, 419. You're in a box between 419 and 367. If you broke out of that, you could easily get into this gap fill towards 472. Unfortunately, we've had a little bit of the opposite here on Lulu, where price has broken to the downside of that box between 418, 419, and 367, and you are filling this downward gap at about 344.80. So if we have continuation tomorrow, you got this nice little brief support here at about 354. If we start to crack 354, then we could easily see 344.80. We can confirm that by showing that the score has moved to a mid bear, minus 26 score. We're below the trailing ATR. Squeeze momentum is firing to the downside. The oscillator has also shifted gears here, and we have weak thrust to the downside as well. So we have a lot of ingredients here that could suggest that price is going to continue to move lower. If we do have a bounce, I do anticipate 367 to act as resistance because prior support can now act as resistance. So that's what I would be anticipating here. If we do have a bounce on Lulu, this should act as support because all these guys who bought thinking that it was going to bounce yet again are now underwater and they need to get out. And when they need to get out, they need to sell. Try to sell at break even, and we move lower. I do not like shares for Lulu at this moment in time. I do not. I do like it if it got back above 418.70 and we started to move through that gap, or if we got back into this range back above 370. But I do feel like this is going to act as resistance again. Shares, if it was a long-term hold, maybe I would need to do some fundamental dives if I wanted to add that into my long-term. But from a short-term swing, I wouldn't be a buyer here, no, just because we broke down of this current support, we could move back down even further. I think it's too risky here. Would I short sell this? Yeah, I'd probably look to short. Yeah. Or put, yeah. I'd probably do a put. Why don't I ever trade the NDX? I have personal preference, really. If I'm going to trade like an SPX or anything like that, I generally go towards the SPX over the NDX. It's just a personal preference. Not that there's anything wrong with that. NDX is expensive, and well, SPX can be expensive too, especially when volatility gets high. Um, yeah, the options chain can get way expensive, and then you just spread it. Of course, you can do like debit spreads or a butterfly. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, NDX is generally not my go-to. It's kind of like a side thought. It's not really something that I really actively think about. If I'm going to do an index trade, it's going to be the SPX if I want to do the SPX or SPY. And then, of course, if I'm doing futures, I'll do micros, the MNQ, rather than the NDX. Let's see. Chipotle. Delicious food. Whammy. Man, what a beautiful short this was. We did have puts on Chipotle. Before I forget, thanks for. Oh yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, they definitely Chipotle put paid for your Chipotle today. How about that? Yeah, Chipotle was a beautiful short. See how we had this level of support here with the daily squeeze. Bearish positioning of the oscillator. Support. Wait. Oh man, that was such a beautiful play. I love this play so much. Yeah, I'm so happy about that. Chipotle could come down even further, in all honesty. 490, 49.50, 48 makes sense as well. A lot of momentum starting to drive this thing down with the squeeze firing to the downside. I wouldn't get back in here. I would just kind of wait till it resets. Let me remove this. If we get a bounce back up to 55.5, I'd be a player again. Because anybody who bought here is crying themselves to sleep. I can't afford Chipotle. Definitely can't afford Chipotle now that I've lost, this money, and they gotta get it back. So if you get a bounce back up to 55.50, I would look to get short again. You got stopped out on your running? No, I got rid of it on Friday because we hit the second PT. Yeah, so I'm all out. So yeah, I would love for this thing to get back up to 55.50 and go for round 2. I think that would be sweet. Let's see. Let's take a look at Kitty Cat. Kitty Cat kind of had the same situation here. I'm not chasing this, but it kind of matches the theme. Like you had a nice level of support here at about 350, and you broke that key level support. I got some old lines here I need to get rid of. Let's just clear the drawing set. Yeah. Boom. We'll redraw you. Yeah, there's 350. Had a nice breakdown here on Cat. Now I would love to see a bounce here. Get back up to 350 and look to get short on this one as well. Let's see. We have who else do? Oh yeah, Coinbase. Bitcoin was pretty good. Look at this breakdown on Coinbase. Just absolutely obliterated. Now MSTR hasn't. Oh, actually, MSTR did start it. Why didn't this tell me? I need to get my alerts squared away because sometimes they go off, sometimes they don't. 309 was our base here, and we broke through. Coin pretty much led the way and is already back at the daily 200. Is MSTR going to also give us a nice little push? There is still a gap to be filled down here at about 275. So that would be my ultimate first target here. You got that nice little, descending triangle kind of thing. So yeah, sellers being aggressive at lower prices, and that's adding to the pressure. Makes sense. So I would like to see Master get back in. What's Bitcoin up to? Let's take a peek. Bitcoin, yeah, kind of the same thing here. Double top. Little woes here in Bitcoin. Is that our warning flag? Now you do got support right here, down here at about the 92 level, 92K. So until, here's your nasty day on Friday. If we can have a ugly day here to test 92, that would be our support level. And then if we break through that, yeah, it can get ugly quick for Bitcoin. So paying attention to Bitcoin and some of those crypto names could be a key thing as well. Let's go to Triple M. Triple M. Ugh. Let's see. This is one of those things that I'm also slightly concerned about. 140 to act as support. We see these big moves to the upside and a lot of strength. Well, supposedly strength, and we're starting to see more and more names roll over. And to me, that's kind of concerning. Triple M here, you're at gap support at 145. If we have a down day tomorrow, 141 to fill that gap and retest this support because there's no orders in between here. So sellers could be very aggressive here and take this down. And that lines up to the daily 50. So I do like Triple M to see what she's going to do if we bounce here or if we fold. So I like the look of that. Let's check Lilly, healthcare name. Man, this thing looked like it was going to go. 889 needs to break. Above 889, there's a little bit of gap, 904. But you do have a nice mini Darvis box here between, what was that level? 836 and 890. So your target would be about 940, between 922 and 943. So I'm keeping an eye on Lilly as well. Johnson & Johnson, really the entire XLV sector had a really good session on Friday, despite the overall weakness within the XLK and Megatech. I know there's a lot of talk with China names. Here's your FXI, mega cap Chinese ETF, big bullish move. You got names like Baba. I'm not really a chaser here for Baba. I would like to be. I should have been a buyer down here at 120, to be honest with you, but I just didn't do it. That's on me. But yeah, some of these China names do look good. PDD needs to break above this 132. Above 132, we could get a move to about 140. So PDD is definitely on my watch list this week. JD could also be an interesting one. Just needs to get above. Let me remove those. That's an old drawing. It's crazy that old drawing still shows that level being a resistance. Right here, what is this? 40, about 43. JD needs to get above 43, and we can boom. The only concern here with these Chinese names is they tend to gap and just leave without you, which we've seen with like Baba. How's Baidu doing? And Baidu's not doing much of anything compared to the others. But I like JD. I like PDD. I think those are all good. Let's see here. Let's go check out PanW. PanW still needs to get above 207. Could be interesting. Not quite there yet. We rejected. We'll see if it can get back to that level. Let's see. UNH. Oh, broke 521, gap down, built a little bit of support at 497. Then you had more news come out saying it was under investigation. Let's see. A lot of the financial names had a tough go, but Burke B still looks like it's still setting up. 484.55. I believe they sent out his letter this weekend as well. You can read into that. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of the banks had a tough time. Look at Bank of America broke down 45.10. Trying to hold this support here. 44 and a quarter, 3/4. If she continues, yeah, 43, maybe even the daily 200 makes sense. You had JP Morgan has slipped. Again, some of these strong names that we've seen just getting absolutely bonked on the head. JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. Yeah, a lot of these financial guys. KRE, your regional banks, they're at a key level, 61.5. There's some interesting stuff right now. It's almost like overload. It's kind of pick your battles, pick your poison, which is why I'm kind of focusing in on the Mag 7. I think that's more suited for my blood, but there's definitely a lot of stuff out there that you can take advantage of. You just got to draw out your levels. Let's check out McDonald's. All these are Dow names. Oh, look at McDonald's. Let's see, who do we have here? CRM. Yeah, again, here's your breakdown. You had a little bit of a base here, drop down. Now we're trying to see where she can go. Let's clear the drawing set and try again. Auto zoom. Yeah, this area here looks pretty good to me. Oh, man, that's right at the 290. Look at that. A little bit of resistance. You had a gap, resistance. Toyed around with it. Yeah, 293.50 makes a lot of sense. You got a little bit of a minor gap here to build off as support. So there's CRM. What is that at 303? Amgen. Let's look at Amgen. I don't mind this. Again, it's one of those health names. 307.50. Break above 307, 310 zone. We'll argue that's a zone. Looks good. Also break above the daily 200. We can get a move towards 320. That looks pretty nice. Amgen. To the upside, Charter Communications. You got a little bit of resistance here at 365. Break above 365. That opens the door to 370. Let's see. Let's go to the semiconductors. SMH. Wow. Yeah, it's going to depend on Capital One. Little head fake there. False breakout. All-time high breakout, and then wham. Slam back down. Now we got to wait again to see if it can push back above 207. Let's see. Yeah, Broadcom, another semiconductor name, was looking for a break above 238. Just could not get it, and it's rolled over. You know, this is what I'm seeing across the board. Just a lot of things rolling over. Where in general you would just see, straight up small caps. Small caps got shot the crap down. I'm salty about that because I was in longs and I had to let that expire worthless, but it is what it is. Let's see, Qualcomm. I know Lady had a nice little day trade on this one. Look at this strong resistance up here at the daily 200. Just brutal sell off on Qualcomm. So that fits in the mold with semiconductors struggling. AMD, downtrend, still a downtrend. You had, some arguments here that, we were breaking out of a downward channel, and then you just got that brutal day on Friday. So to me, this is still in a downtrend. I'd look to short again. Sell it. Sell the dip. Sell the rip until it doesn't. Let's see. Who got Boeing? Nah, I'm not a fan of Boeing. Let's see. AXP. Yeah, that fits in your financial services, which they're rolling over. Let's see. Energy. Crude oil, a little tricky. We'll see. Let's see. Melly had their earnings, so we'll see where that sits. AZN. Oh yeah, here's another thing. I know we had that news on Friday where they found another new COVID. Go figure, was discovered by the Wuhan lab. We'll see. Whatever. 75.50 needs to break for the upside. Let's see. I think that's all I got. PayX needs to get above 150.71. It's resistance until it's not. Looking for a daily close above that 150, 151 zone. CVX energy name looks good. Just needs to clear 158.92. Kind of same thing with ZOM. I took some longer dated ZOM calls. Came right up to resistance, and we had a nice daily close, which is where I got in. We're in a daily squeeze, which is what I'm paying attention to. The oscillator has flipped bullish. We got the flip here, and I did have an arrow, but it went away at the close. And now I'm just, still in it unless I get a close below the daily 21, which sits at about 109 on ZOM. So I'm still in that, just kind of wait and see. Zscaler was another one. Looking for this breakout of 217.84. So breakouts are tough to come by. It seems 227 if we get above 217. That'd be a nice $10 move. You got earnings coming up, though. All right. It's just to recap here, SPY. Like I said, we got the interesting mixed signals overall. If we come here to the 3 chart grid, weekly, daily, 1 hourly, we can see that the overall weekly trend is still intact. Is this just a part of the pullback out of the big scheme of things? Are we going to pull back to the weekly 21, which sits at the 590 level, which would, make sense if we did. And then we continue to resume. We're in a daily squeeze here. But the overall key thing is short-term focus is definitely on that bearish, cautious side. And we're just in that wait and see mode, especially with that mid-level squeeze. So intraday, player signals, and wait for things to turn around, especially if you are overall bullish on things. Wait for us to make, some sort of momentum shift on those shorter time frames is definitely my key thing here. All right, any questions? Any other ticker requests before we call it an evening? I think we went over a good bit. Yeah, Johnny Bulls has got SMCI up there. It's got to get above 60, though. Just one of those things. What? It all comes down to we got to get through Nvidia earnings. That's for darn sure. Kava. Okay. Kava Group. Oh. Oof. That sound right. Oof. Yeah, that's what that is. You had this big candle here on their prior earnings. Big move to 172. Came back up to it. Let's see here. There you go. There's your breakout, but you closed back in. I think that was your warnings on here, where you gapped up here, and then you just sold off and you closed back below. You got the pullback, and then when you came back up to this level, yeah, look at that. Rejected again. So anybody that, was long, they just got out at break even. Buyer's remorse, clear as day on this chart. Moved back down to the 2024 year. We've had a little bit of bounce just shy of the daily 200, but now we have made a slightly lower high. Came back down to the 200. Ooh, that is ugly. All right, so let's see. Let's draw this out just for, let's say this is our swing high. It's ABCD pattern. Yeah, 100. 100, and you do have gap fill here also. 101. That's where I would, if I was short, I would probably be looking to take profit around here, because you are in that gap at this point and you've had this nasty little breakdown. You eat there so much, need to own some stock. We'll see what tomorrow looks like. And the reason why I say that is because you're in this gap, and the question is, you closed in that gap on Friday. This could easily go lower and fill that gap. You could try to nibble here at 100, but just know that you could easily have a shift here in the overall chart, rejecting at all-time highs. There's your lower high. You broke this, so this could come back even further. Maybe have a DCA if you have a long term. Everybody loves kava. I've never eaten there, so I don't know. I know it's like the healthy Greek. It looks Greek to me. Greek version of Chipotle, which sounds freaking delicious. I'm a fat kid at heart, so I'm all for that. Greek food is phenomenal. I would love to eat there. We just don't have those down here in the South. We like our fatty fried food and hamburgers and meat, stuff like that. So yeah, we don't have kava. I should have opened one up. That would be a good side hustle, wouldn't it? Let me see if I can convince the wife. She'd be like, hell no, we ain't opening a restaurant. Let's see. I know for a while we talked about owning a Five Guys. we made it. We made it. We did. We had a long talk about owning a Five Guys. But yeah, Kava, I probably wouldn't be a buyer yet. I want to see if this gap fills and see if 100 holds, or if this just continues to roll over. Yeah, yeah, that they are, and it's a nickel and dime business. Yep, earnings are coming up. Yeah, definitely wait till after that for sure. Get that out of the way. See what the overall outlook is. Updates, all that kind of good stuff. I just had dinner too, so now I'm hungry. We had breakfast for dinner. Just some eggs, some grits, some biscuits. That. All right. I do love this chart though. I really love this chart. It's very technical, savvy. I like it a lot. Thank you for showing that. I always forget about Kava too. It's not something that's on my papers all the time. Y'all know me though. I'm focused on like big tech and all that good stuff, but I try to venture out sometimes. All right. Any others? We've definitely gone through a lot of examples here. Yeah, just stay focused on those smaller time frames. See if we get any shifts, any bounces. Let's see what futures are up to right now. S&P futures, getting a little bit of a bounce. Yeah, up about 0.5%. Let's go to the NQ. Yeah, same thing. A little bit of a bounce. Up about 0.5% as well. 100 points. Okay. We'll see if they hold. We'll see if they hold. Fun week ahead. Let's get at it. Y'all have a great evening. Go eat you some ice cream or something. I don't know. Sweet. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for, spending your time with me. There's a lot of things that you could be doing right now, and you're in here listening to me. Yep. So I appreciate y'all. And we'll look forward to the week ahead. Be good. Stay cozy, my friends, and I'll see you tomorrow.